Costs of Production by Charles Shaver, Trevor Carroll, and Tanya Stoll. To discuss the cost of production, we have created a new company called Econ Cakes. What are the best bakery and most expensive? We will dive into the cost of production centered around this newly established company. Econ Cakes' total costs can be divided into two types. Some costs, called fixed costs, do not vary with the quantity of output produced. They are incurred even if the firm produces nothing at all. Econ Cakes' fixed costs include any rent they may pay because this cost is the same regardless of how many donuts they produce. The other type of costs, called variable costs, change as the firm alters the quantity of output produced. Econ Cakes' variable costs include the cost of flour, eggs, milk, and icing. The more donuts Econ Cakes makes, the more of these items they need to buy. Marginal and average cost. Marginal cost showcases the amount that total cost rises when the firm increases production by 1 donut of output. For example, if Econ Cakes increases production from 2 to 3 donuts, total cost rises from $3.80 to $4.50. So the marginal cost of the third donut is $4.50 minus $3.80, or 70 cents. The marginal cost appears halfway between any two rows because it represents the change in total cost as quantity of output increases from one level to another. Average total costs can be expressed by total cost divided by the quantity of output. Because total cost is the sum of fixed and variable costs, average total cost can be expressed as the sum of averaged fixed cost and average variable cost. The cost curves shown here for Econ Cakes have some features that are common to the cost curves of many firms in the economy. Let's examine 3 features in particular: the shape of the marginal cost curve, the shape of the average total cost curve, and the relationship between marginal cost and average total cost. Econ Cakes' marginal cost rises as the quantity of output produced increases. This upward slope reflects the property of diminishing marginal product. When Econ Cakes produces a small quantity of donuts, they have few workers and much of their equipment is not used. Average total cost reflects the shapes of both average fixed cost and average variable cost. At very low levels of output, such as 1 or 2 donuts per hour, average total cost is very high. Even though average variable cost is low, average fixed cost is high because the fixed cost is spread over only a few units. As output increases, the fixed cost is spread over more units. Average fixed cost declines rapidly at first and then more slowly. The relationship between these curves is best expressed through an analogy. Average total cost is like your cumulative grade point average. Marginal cost is like the grade you get in your next course you take. If your grade in your next course is less than your grade point average will fall. If your grade in your next course is higher than your grade point average will rise. The mathematics of average and marginal cost is exactly the same as the mathematics of average and marginal grades.
Every business is faced with making decisions, and Econ Cakes is no different. Let's take a closer look at how decisions and costs vary in the short run and the long run for businesses. A key point is that decisions in the short run are static and become flexible in the long run. An example is in the short run, Econ Cakes can only increase the output by increasing the amount of employees, whereas in the long run, Econ Cakes can expand the size of its donut shops in order to increase the output of donuts made. Expanding the size of the donut shop in the long run allows the total cost to return back to $10,000 versus the rise in total cost that would result if this decision was made in the short run with a medium-sized donut shop, as depicted in the graph. Note the short run curves have a more drastic U-shape and lie on or above the long run curve. Decisions for the long run increase in flexibility as the firm now has the ability to decide which short run curve to utilize. Now let's move into some term definitions. Economies of scale is the property whereby the long run average total cost falls as the quantity of output increases. Diseconomies of scale is the property whereby the long-run average total cost rises as the quantity of output increases. And the constant returns to scale is the property whereby the long-run average total cost stays the same as the quantity of the output changes. Businesses undergo specialization during higher production levels, resulting in economies of scale, whereas coordination problems result in diseconomies of scale. The graph illustrates how the long-run average total is rising at low levels of production due to further specialization, and the long-run average total is falling at high levels of production due to an increase of the coordination problems.
There is a relationship between the amount a business can produce and the amount that level of production will cost the business. Production function is the relationship between the quantity of inputs used to make a product and the quantity of output of that product. The more inputs used, the more outputs can be produced. The marginal product is the increase in output that arises from an additional unit of input. An example of the marginal product is adding workers to a small business. When you do this, the business can increase its production. However, this is not always the case. The diminishing marginal product is when the marginal product of an input declines as the quantity of input increases. An example of this is when you add more workers to a crowded workplace. More workers in this environment start to produce less and less output per person since there is a fight for resources. This ends up costing the business more than it is taking in. The production function graph on the left shows what happens when the number of workers increases. The production function gets flatter, reflecting a diminishing marginal product. The total cost curve on the right shows that it will cost increasingly more when a business wants to increase their quantity of output. The business must pay for more employees, input to make the product, and space. As you can see from the table, when column 2 increases, the quantity of output, the total cost of input increases. In this scenario, the cost of the factory stays constant, but with the increasing number of workers, the cost to pay them gets higher. The more input you want, the costlier it will be.
Businesses rely on the graphs outlined in this video to provide key information that is utilized to supplement the decision-making process, as businesses are not able to make a decision solely from the information provided from these graphs. Now that we are at the end of the video, you should be able to speak to and have an understanding of the tools businesses utilize when making decisions about production and pricing.